Hey YouTube, Coppersan here. The Explorer Buccaneer has seen lots of love after the Destiny update. I think this is one of the most popular classes right now. So of course we're going to train one to level 200 and we're checking out what this class is all about. Pirates are always pretty fun to train. Did you know you can actually fight with your bare hands as a pirate? Just unequip your weapon and start punching monsters. Finally a class that isn't afraid to throw some hands. Unfortunately though, after watching Sugar die, my character just got really stressed and my Buccaneer kinda went bald. We're just a bit more aerodynamic now, I suppose. Thankfully though, I have just a thing to reduce stress. Forgot your dailies, forgot to check on your house, your monster collection? No worries, introducing the sponsor of today's video, Raar. This software allows you to access your PC and play games no matter where you are. If you're at a 10-minute break at work or just want to touch some grass outside, you can still log in and play MapleStory, check in on your house, accept your monster collection, defame someone, whatever you do that you normally do when you're at your desktop. The controls and layout when using Raar are fully customizable, so you can control your character even better. I really like using this to accept my monster collection and go shopping using housing, but also to, for example, upload videos when those are rendering while I'm away from my desktop. There's a free version that you can use just fine to do anything basic, a pro version that has advanced Android support and remote CMD, but I'm currently using the game version, so I have even more additional features to make my gaming experience even better. If you think Raar is something for you, enter this code to get a 7-day free trial. This code is limited though to the first 200 people using it. And if you want to fully embrace the remote lifestyle, you can also check out their smart power plug that's available on Amazon. With this plug you can turn your PC off and on remotely. And to top things off, there also is a discount going on right now for the pro and for the game versions. If you want to check out Raar, there are links in the video description and in the top comment. Thanks for sponsoring this video, and now back to the grinding. Buccaneers kinda do need their aerodynamic haircut in their second job, because this is where you unlock your super jump. This isn't an actual skill, but it's something only the Buccaneers can do. Buccaneers have a skill called Advanced Dash. This skill unlocks in second job. Assign it to one of your keyboard buttons and use it together with the jump key. No need to use any arrow keys. Then if you time the skill right, you'll be able to perform what is called a super jump. This is pretty amazing for grinding, but it does take some getting used to getting the timing just right. For me, it is still pretty hard to get it right consistently, especially just this early into the game. You can actually also up jump after super jumping. It's pretty crazy how much mobility this class has. Besides that, Buccaneers also get to unleash their serpent in second job. Once toggled on, this serpent will pop out every few seconds when attacking to deal additional damage and help with the mobbing. Make sure to have this skill turned on when you're grinding. For this video, I also decided to go to a bit of a different route from the usual just only Starforce monsters. So I first completed Rihanna Strait and the Gold Beach team dungeons to reach level 55. After that I went to the Mummy Dogs hidden map in the excavation site in Pirion to reach level 60 and unlock the third job advancement. We're leaving the Copper Sand Drakes alone today so they can repopulate, and instead I went to the Red Drakes a bit deeper into the Ant Tunnel. We're using a reward store totem to boost the spawn rate so we can grind just a bit faster, as well as the usual EXP cards. This class has some pretty epic third job skills. Their Precision Strikes passive increases critical rate and critical damage, and you'll get an additional 20% crit chance when fighting bosses. Combine that with your Groggy Mastery skill that increases critical rate by a massive 60% and critical damage by 15% against monsters affected by statuses. This class will have no trouble always critting against any boss monster. Bugs also learn the Serpent skill and Serpent Assault skills. Make sure to right click Serpent skill so it will automatically work. After swinging around your Serpent 5 times, 2 big Serpents will pop out, dealing massive AoE damage. Our next grinding spot was Sandcastle Playground, which is a great spot to try and master our super jump a little bit. We gotta practice that. After that, I trained at Ice Valley 2 in El Nut. While waiting for an MVP buff, I also accepted the free gear from the Have You Learned About quests. And at level 88, I went to Lab Area C2 in Magatia. This map is actually pretty easy to just dash and attack, no need to use the arrow keys. I really like grinding like this, it's just super lazy, super fun. The main bombing attack for Buccaneers in third job is their turning kick, and Bugs also learn the corkscrew blow attack. This is a dash that can be used to cancel animations, which is pretty useful with some of your 4th job skills and 5th job skills that have quite long end animations. You can also link the skill into your 4th job skill Octopunch. Linking it does cause the skill to go on a 4-second cooldown though. We reach level 100 and we go fight normal Zakum with the rune, a double EXP buff and the MVP buff. We're not burning right now, but the levels are still coming in. Because I got so many level ups already, I decided to just finish off Zakum because we'll be too high level to get any meaningful EXP anyway by the time we can enter again. I went to Robos and Ludi for a few levels, and after that I was hanging out in Sharpcliff 4 in El Nath. I wanted to grind at non-Starforce and less popular maps today for as long as possible, so I'm diverging from my usual training route. However, I do think, especially if you can one-shot, that Starforce monsters are usually better EXP. Next up, I completed all the wanted sign quests in Korean Folktown after reaching level 130. Also, fun fact, in MapleStory Korea, Korean Folktown is just called Folktown. After completing all the quests here, I grinded at Red Nose Pirate Den 3 until I reached level 150, and then it was time to defeat normal Horntail. After reaching level 154, I went back to the Pirates for one more level up, and then I went to Stone Colossus maps to grind these big insects to dust. Apparently these guys don't taste too bad when they're deep fried. Buccaneers have a massive amount of skills in their fort job. There's 16 skills. There's skills like aggressive and defensive stance. The aggressive one increases your damage by 25% when you attack a monster. The defensive one decreases damage taken by 40%, but only has a 25% chance to trigger whenever you get hit. But the cool thing is, this skill does also work on percentage HP attacks, giving you a bit more tankiness. Sometimes. Bugs also learn the speed infusion skill, making them very speedy boys, and they learn the skill time leap that resets cooldowns, which also works for party members. It can be used every 180 seconds. I kinda love this skill. I can use the full screen attack not to strike again, or you can roll your dice again if you get a bad roll. It's pretty good. Bugs also learn 2 new attacks in their fort job. Hook Bomber, which is your main mobbing attack, and Octo Punch. Octo Punch is your bossing attack. Together with the Sea Serpent Rage skill, you get a new serpent effect every time you use Octo Punch. Instead of the regular long boy popping out, a small serpent head pops out that bites the enemy monster, dealing damage and leaving a debuff that increases final damage. If this skill hits a few times, a bigger Raging Serpent will pop out that deals a lot of damage. Now personally though, I don't like this Raging Serpent all that much. It's pretty strong, but it's a stationary skill. So when you're fighting boss monsters that move around a lot like Magnus, there is a big chance that the boss monster will move out of the attacking range of the skill, making you just lose out on damage. Also, as you might have noticed, I did start leveling at the Starforce Blue notebooks at one point. The regular monsters just weren't doing it for me. If you want to check out everything that I did, you can also check out the VOD channel for the full leveling. Link to that is also in the video description. Bug's hyper skills are pretty nice. There is a level 140 hyper skill that is a buff that halves the cooldown of your serpent attacks popping out, greatly increasing your damage. And this serpent spirit is mostly used when bossing, I assume. Whenever you attack a monster after first attacking it with Octo Punch and leaving a bite mark, you'll gain a 5% critical damage buff. This buff will only last for 10 seconds, but it does stack up to 3 times. So I think this is pretty useful when you're bossing, increasing your critical damage by 15%. For the passive hyper skills, I buffed everything on Octo Punch and Hook Bomber, except for the passive hyper skill that increases Hook Bomber's max monsters hit. I did not put any points in Double Down Enhance, but you could do that as well. For your inner ability, I recommend getting either 20% boss damage at line 1 or Messers Obtained. To level faster, I just put points in normal monster damage, and critical damage for my hyper stats, since I hit max critical rate easily thanks to my Legion and Link skills. One thing I also highly recommend if you're leveling up this character is getting the 5th job Common Pirate skill, Loaded Dice. This skill adds another dice to your rolls, and you can select one of them to always hit a certain number. This way, a pirate class can always train with an additional 30% bonus EXP. I use this skill on my Shade as well, and he doesn't even have any dice skill from its own, but I still get one thanks to this skill. It's great for leveling faster. So after leveling a bit more, we finally reached level 200. Without burning, this takes a good 6 hours, especially because we didn't train at Starforce monsters that much this time around. 5th job Buccaneers though are crazy fun. You'll get additional mobility with the Serpent Vortex skill. This damage dealing skill dashes you in the direction of the arrow key that you're pressing, or if you just don't press any keys while using it, you're just standing still, but you can still pop out the attack. Howling Fist is your big damage skill. The second part of this skill is also an invincibility frame, and you can break out of the animation faster by using Corkscrew Blow. Just keep in mind that you're not invincible during the initial charging phase, only during the damaging phase of the skill when the full serpent appears. Lightning Form is your other big damage and safety skill. When the skill is active, you'll gain increased final damage, and you'll be able to teleport away by tapping the arrow keys twice. You can also use the skill again to throw a massive Spirit Bomb, and no worries, this Spirit Bomb doesn't take 5 whole episodes to charge while screaming. You can throw up to 3 of those orbs while the skill is active, and the Buccaneer is invincible while creating the orb. So you got a few invincibility frames available as a Buccaneer, but they do require precise timing. And finally, your bread and butter, the Lord of the Deep skill. This skill is freaking amazing. A serpent will float around you, dealing damage to anything it touches. The skill will attack 100 times before it goes away on a cooldown, but every 40 enemies defeated, the skill's cooldown will decrease by 10 seconds. So once you're strong enough, you can have the skill basically up forever. I think it's best demonstrated for me right now at lower level monsters. Grinding like this is so much fun. And that was the Buccaneer. I think think they make excellent mobbers and bosses with a ton of base stats. They're simple to play, but you can also try and go a bit harder and master their super jumping for even more crazy mobility. I do think Raging Serpents should stick to boss monsters instead of just creating a zone that bosses can move away from, but besides that, this class is freaking amazing in my opinion. I can totally see why it became so popular after the Destiny update. So what do you think about the remastered Buccaneer? Let me know in the comments. And that was all for today. As always, many thanks to our members for making these videos possible. Thanks to Niels the Coninck, Raar maar waar, Sebastian, Hanoy, Ryalias, Terry Kim, Vareese, Mora, Wiley, Historycanon, BackSpaceOTI, Saffronyx, Anwar, NHI, Ziggy Deer, Flidiet, Knifesu, Chen125, Cloudfix, Gusus Rodriguez, Froggy, Vira, Trevor, Michael Manchaka, Ratius, Justin Vale, Silvio Nato, Stevie Zhang, Afterlord_MS, ceemak, Striker Elk, Tidal1 Pan, Victor Sunstrom, Radical Jaws, Riser RU, Gummy Bullet, Lovebird, 32655, Mathias Simonsson, Mr. Narc, Lando Balavia, PC Game Life, Dante Victory, The Passenger, Martin Panzik, I'm Disappointed, Lucky Beats, Gable Eck, Pedro Benedetti, Conrad Crystallis, Ace Light, Ben Wolf, Max Bernhardt, Doc on a Talkabox, Muka 1017, BNB King, Scotty Flies Fast, Priscilla, Brandon Cam, Shake1, Vake Botnet, Fecco, Gianfranco Calderon Canavero, Necrodart, and Matinu Dev. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and happy mapling!